It's time to create your visual aids, and I want to take a moment and just explain to you some of the rules for visual aids. Now, I do have to say that there are a lot of different perspectives on how to use visual aids, but the bottom line is that all of your visual aids should only be included if they bring clarity, interest, or retention. So you use a visual aid if your goal is to help clarify something, if you're trying to capture the audience's attention, or if putting it on a visual aid will actually help the audience remember. There are multiple types of visual aids that you can use. I think the first one, and I need you to recognize this because I think it's the most important, is actually you, the speaker. So you are a visual aid because your actions, your nonverbal communication is what will actually bring clarity, interest, or retention. You can bring objects, but again, I always recommend it's best to just take a picture of an object and embed it into a PowerPoint. Images, maps, if they're relevant, you can put photos or drawings, diagrams, charts, or graphs. Now, I know a lot of students actually ask me, well, can I put audio or video in there? I found this really cool video that explains exactly what it is that I want, and they can do it a lot better than I can. And I say, in a 5 to 6 minute presentation, you cannot have more than 45 seconds of video and no more than clips of 20 seconds of audio. You have to use it sparingly.
So often I've heard people say, this is my presentation, and they show me this big stack of slides. That's not your presentation. You are the presentation. Those are just visual aids. When we work with people at Benjamin Associates, we often take away their PowerPoint to start with, get them to deliver their presentation, just them talking. And then afterwards, maybe we introduce the visual aids. So if you've got a speech coming up, or a talk or a presentation coming up, the worst thing you can do is switch on PowerPoint. Get a blank sheet of paper, plan what you're going to say, and then the very last thing you do is think, what visual aids can I use to help me get my point across?
So let's take that video one step further. First of all, every time you start your presentation, you need to start with a blank slide. Why do you start with a blank slide? Because you don't want to give your topic away until you finish your attention getter. So if your attention getter is something that demands a slide because it's going to bring clarity, interest, or retention, then you can have that as your first slide. But there shouldn't be any words that tell the audience what you're speaking about. Another thing that's important, and I think it was kind of referred to loosely in the video, is the outline is not your PowerPoint template. So you do not have one slide per point. You do not have your main points in one slide. Something that I also want to say and have you keep in mind is that your graphics are critical. That's what keeps the audience interested in your speech. But don't put a collage of graphics on a screen, and make sure your graphics actually relate. There's some more rules with PowerPoints, and that is the font size, the font style, and the contrast. So the font size must be a minimum of 36 and bold. The font style must not be something that's too fancy. I'm going to use the example of I have a lot of students that will pick something that's kind of cool or flowy looking, almost like cursive writing. And the truth is that's very difficult for people to see. And the last is contrast. You want to make sure that the colors contrast enough so that we can see them from far away, as we will be in your videos. I love this. This was actually something that I found online, tips for creating PowerPoint presentation. And these are great tips, don't get me wrong. But if these showed up on your PowerPoint slide, or you had a PowerPoint slide that looked like this, I would automatically take off too many points. I'll go ahead and put this tips on Canvas so that you can actually see it and read it, because I think it really is good. But again, this is too much information in a slide. So beware. Last thing I'm going to say, do not let the PowerPoint take over your presentation. Do not turn and talk to the slides, and do not put so much on them that you think you have to read them. There's a couple other videos as you click through, and those should be helpful. And you can also find things on YouTube on how to make your PowerPoint presentations super cool and engaging.